So this is the Public Works Commission conducting our meeting September 10th, 2025 at 4 p.m. and on the Zoom platform and in person. This meeting is being recorded and will be available for later viewing on the town's website. I, Andrea Solomon, hereby call this meeting to order. We're all here in person, so we won't have to do a roll call. Okay, so review, approval of the minutes. Does anyone have comment on the meeting minutes from last time?
No.
No comment? Okay.
Move to approve. Okay,
Second.
With the minutes from,
I, Gretchen Roebuck, hereby move to approve the June 25th, 2025 minutes of the Public Works Commission as.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to, just reviewing the calendar.
So, populated the calendar at least through June of 26. Kind of highlight, there are, if you're aware or not, that the town meeting, has been set for April 27th through the 29th. So that's important date as we do a lot of preparation, in anticipation of that. Next month, just kind of a preview. We're looking at a stormwater enterprise update. We may do a winter maintenance depending on what else is, on the docket. That's just a routine update to the commission as far as our winter maintenance program.
That's for November.
That's presently November. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, what about?
Oh, I just skipped a month. I apologize. Let's go to
Capital planning.
the capital planning. So we are in the process of finalizing our capital plans. We're doing a little bit different this year. All of the capital, including enterprise, are being done at the same time. We will be presenting a memo and an overview of the major investments for FY27. At the time, talk about some projects that might be multi-year. That's scheduled for next month. We are also tentatively, we may have a joint meeting. I didn't list it yet because there's no date, but we're looking at potentially a joint meeting with the Transportation Advisory Committee and the Select Board to talk more about the borrowing authorization for the roads and safety program. And we'll talk a little bit about more of that in the director's report, but that's tentatively something we'll do in October as well. So
There's the 10/8 meeting, the October 8th meeting.
that is our standard
Standard.
Public Works Commission, second Wednesday of the month at 4 to 6 o'clock is our standing time unless there's some unusual, scheduling needs. The joint meeting will be dependent on availability of select board and TAC as well.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, so we'll move on to public comment. Public comment. Oh,
Go ahead.
Linda Neiman, 59 Melody Drive. I'm here to ask about, if there was have been any decision or plan with regard to the Bruce Union Rail Trail Williams Road intersection. My understanding is that there was a meeting and then maybe perhaps MassDOT was involved, and I would like to know what became of that. If there's a plan to put a permanent bollard or removable bollard in place. And then also similarly, if any decision has been made with regard to Upland Drive.
Steve, do you want to answer that just briefly, or do we want to talk in the director's report? More?
Then.
We'll talk in the director's report. Might be better to include that. Right.
Robert.
Robert Hilsinger, 102 Central Street. Two things. Number one, I wonder if the commission might be willing to consider putting something in the paper to remind people the public way is not at the end of the asphalt. It includes to the sidewalks. I see a number of cases where people have sometimes put their sprinkler systems in what I probably think is the public way. And I think occasionally in some better language that I know why people have come up with, to remind people that the public way is not just a pavement. And the second thing on a different topic, and that is that I see abuses which I don't have any answer for on the trash pickup. I've seen occasions where they've just piled the stuff next to the current container, which I find is abusing the rest of us, but we're all paying for that. And the second thing I saw, which I thought was even worse, somebody piled the stuff up and it was sticking out, it was in a plastic bag, all the trash that was in there fell on the ground. And the people doing the pickup were picking up the stuff, that's not their job. And I don't know what can be done, I don't know whether it's something that we're only gonna pick up when the trash lid is closed. But I find it annoying personally when people abuse something which we all think is common sense.
Can I ask a clarifying question? Do we still have the bag stickers so that people could just get a sticker?
There are overflow, yeah.
So, and you don't think that that bag that you saw was one that had a sticker on it and they just hadn't?
No, it just fell out onto the ground, it broke, and the trash fell out all over the ground.
Okay.
I only saw that once, but I think if it happened once, I'm
Mhm.
sure this probably happens.
Relating to the public way information. It relates to the public
It
way
does
as being public, yes.
And the courtesy to the
Yeah.
rest of the people who pay for the service.
Yep.
Okay, anybody online has a public comment?
We're looking. Bob, do you see anyone online with a hand up? Public comment? I don't. Let's see, I'm just admitting Carlin Reed. I don't see anything. Bob, can you hear us?
Yes, I can, Alan.
All right, yeah, just confirming, no one had a hand up in the, online. Okay,
Okay, so we'll move on to commissioners' comment. So I'll just say, I know you all know that that question number 1 on the ballot passed, so that's huge news. It's a great news for Concord. It's a great opportunity as well as great responsibility for the Department of Public Works. And, I know that this means that there's a lot of thoughtful strategic planning going on right now. That will be debuted next month at our next meeting, a little bit today in the director's report, as well as then the roads program reviews that happens in November. And those are usually when we do those reviews, the capital planning and the roads program. So, but it is a different way of doing things. So we're all gonna be learning a lot. The best place to do that is in public meetings so that the commissions are getting information from staff. We can relay that to the public. The public can join in questioning and advising and helping to prioritize some of these projects, but it should be a public discussion. So I'm just encouraging people to come to these meetings, ask their questions, submit questions either online, in person, by letter. That is a really good way to communicate with the town about your expectations. And it's a good way then for us to come back to the public and relate what the goals are here. We can't cover every single pet project, but certainly a lot of them will be looked at. We are working on there's a lot of people, including our liaison, Paul, from the Select Board, working on a really good streamlined reporting process for residents. I know that's gotten a lot of attention, and we want to get that in place, and we want to make sure it works for everyone, for the staff to respond to, for residents to know where to go when they do have an issue about traffic, pedestrian safety, bicycle safety. That's also going to be talked a little bit in the director's report, and then more to come as these next meetings occur. So I just want everyone to be aware that we are trying to cover a lot of material, teach the public a lot of things, and learn a lot about these procedures ourselves, this process ourselves. So just want everyone to know we're hearing you. We're hearing you a lot. So anyway, does anybody else have, any other commissioners have comments? Questions about something not on the agenda? No, okay, all right. So it's 4:10. So we are having our solid waste recycling rate hearing.
Yeah,
We have to open the hearing, so can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
You wanna do it? I can do it right here.
We got it.
I, Gretchen Rohrbach, hereby move to open the public hearing for the fiscal year 26 water sewer rates.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So now we'll hear from,
yeah, I think we'll have Justine St. John and Aaron McCloskey. Justine is the program manager, for the solid waste and recycling, and Aaron is the highway ground superintendent. So tag team as they see fit.
Alan,
Here's our.
can I
subject
interrupt
matter
for a
expert.
second?
Yes,
Alan,
yep,
the cards for the start of the meeting and opening mentioned it as the water and sewer rate hearing, not the solid waste rate hearing. So we should revise that.
oh, I'm sorry.
thank you. That was
I
a
just
typo.
read it.
So thanks for catching that, Bob. So it's,
Do we need to do it again, or are we
I think
good?
we should just do it for
Right.
the record.
So
Yeah.
can I have a motion to open
Yes.
the solid waste and recycling hearing?
I, Gretchen Rohrbach, hereby move to open the public hearing for the solid waste
And
and
recycle.
recycling program.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good catch, Bob.
There we go. Are we ready? Justine, want to
Yeah.
take the lead there?
Yeah, good evening, Aaron McCloskey, Highway and Ground Superintendent, Concord Public Works. Thank you for having us this evening. We're gonna provide an overview of the solid waste and recycling program. First, before we get into the recommendations for the next rate increase. So first slide shows kind of the goal of the program is to Concord Public Works to provide subscribers with the solid waste recycling program that's efficient, environmentally sustainable, and cost effective. That's something we've talked about multiple hearings and in public meetings over the last few years, and we've talked about the program, kind of where it was, where we're looking to go, and when we are now. And so those are still the goals, and that's what we're striving to accomplish every year. The current program, we provide a weekly automated collection to all subscribers. It includes a town issued leased cart that's owned by Waste Management, provided through the subscription. The program includes single stream recycling in a toter. There's bulk pickup available by schedule for any subscribers to the program. It's a cost competitive program. We look at rates that we have, and we look at private haulage rates to make sure that we stay competitive for any residents that would be kind of looking at a comparable program provided by someone else. We have an online payment program that's available. It's a pay-as-you-throw program, meaning that the more solid waste that you dispose of weekly, the higher your rate is. And that is a term that is used by Mass DEP as a kind of a qualifying program for grants and other incentives for municipalities that have that type of program. And it's an environmentally sustainable program. Currently, we have over 3,780 subscribers enrolled in the program that take part in the town service. So my last slide before Justine cover some of the recommendations, kind of what we're looking to go for the next cycle of subscriptions. So typically this is a rate hearing where we provide a rate. The rate's really, historically has been a 60-year subscription period where people can essentially opt in, and every 6 months they have to reach out to our department and essentially resubscribe altogether. We're looking to transition to a monthly fee-based program where folks that are subscribers currently will just continue to be subscribers, and instead of paying a 6-month fee, the fee will be broken down into a monthly, fee that's paid over the course of 12 months. Subscribers will not have to reach out and resubscribe every 6 months, and if they forget to do so, they're removed from the service plan and the cards are collected, which is kind of what we've been running into the last 6 months and even before that, before we had toters. So looking to automate the subscription, or excuse me, the renewal. So any existing customers would stay on, any new subscribers that would be interested in reaching out would then subscribe and be on a monthly billing. What is helpful with this proposal is that the town of Concord already has municipal billing set in place for water, sewer, light and broadband, and soon to be stormwater, where they will receive a monthly bill. So the idea and the plan would be if adopted by the commission to add this as another utility to that bill. So solid waste and recycling would be on that existing bill that residents receive for those other utilities. And they could be paid through that same process. So it's the same portal rather than a separate portal. We think that this will help facilitate on-time payments and be a convenience for subscribers rather than having, another bill through another platform that they would have to remember to pay every 6 months. This is kind of on their, I'll call it a routine bill schedule, right? So again, automatic pay would be available as it is for other utilities. And that's one unique thing about this rate hearing. It's kind of been different than those in the past, so.
Did you consider quarterly subscriptions versus monthly?
We looked at a variety of options. So we've looked at annual, monthly, quarterly. And what we've done is, some of the feedback that we've gotten also from residents is that, the 6 month bill is it's a big chunk of money, right? If you break it down month to month, it's easier for some folks to pay. And so, that is also the frequency of the other utility bills. So for just uniformity across all the town of Concord utilities that are provided through the municipal platform, the monthly is consistent with every other bill that's being charged to users. The next slide kind of goes into rates, and I'll turn it over to Justine to cover those.
Thank you. So, so we started with we had our rate hearing back in June of 24 when we updated the entire program. And from there, what we came up with was the annual rate was $490 per base subscriber. And then additional carts, whether it was going to be an additional 96 gallon recycling cart or 35-gallon solid waste cart, would be an additional $95 per year. There is also a recycle only program that we do offer. So that information is there as well. And then we have our other services, which is when someone does order an additional cart, there is a deployment fee. So that deployment fee is an additional service. We're not recommending to raise the deployment fees, and we're also not recommending to raise the overflow tags. The overflow tags are something that we buy, a number of, and we have buffered in our budget a little bit, so we are able to sustain that for at least another year. And that way we don't have to constantly change over tags, because that's what happens is people buy a number of tags and then they hold on to them, and then they want a refund or they exchange them, and it ends up being a thing.
I have some of those.
Yeah, so we have people who, when I started, I took over the program back in 22. And even this past year, we were having people that were handing in the green stickers, which I think changed in 2020. So so it's just easier to be able to have this. So that we intentionally did that. Moving forward, what we're looking for is we are looking to increase the rates of the subscribers in the additional carts by 4.5%, which is the cost of the increase of the contract. That's the great part about having this contract. In the next 2 years, we have a predictable increase, which is 4.5% each year. So that is our proposal, is that the rate would be a total of 5 for the base subscribers, $512.04, which broke it down monthly is $42.67. And then the additional carts would be $99.24, which is $8.27. And then recycle only, again, it goes down. So it's the proposed rate is $412.80, monthly rate is $34.40. And the additional carts, again, is the same $99.24 and then $8.27. And so that is the information on the proposed rate increase. I think when we originally proposed it to the finance committee back in April, May, We were looking at actually a 5% increase, so we're able to dial that back a little bit. And so, so we're really happy to present this to you today.
Thanks.
And that is actually it.
Can I ask a question? So you're looking to increase subscribers by 4.5%?
Mhm.
About how many households is that?
So right now we have over 3,780 households.
Okay, so 4.5 would be,
How much money?
no, how many people?
Oh, no, the rate.
Oh, the
Oh, yeah, yeah, the
rate,
rate,
not the
rate, rate.
people.
Right. I'm
Oh, I
sorry,
thought we were
sorry,
trying to
right.
get,
No.
figuring out ways to get people on. Okay.
So I will
Okay,
say,
thank you.
we actually, over the last year of the program, we have increased subscribers by about 10%.
Okay,
So that.
I mean, I knew
yeah,
it was up and I was
so,
like,
yeah.
wow, we're gonna have
We're
it
just
over
gonna keep going.
100%, give us a couple years.
That's what we want to do.
Okay.
Nice. Couple questions. One. I just want to have an answer ready when someone says to me, well, I'm a small card subscriber. Why do I have to pay the same increase than a large card subscriber? Thanks.
I understand that. I think the reasoning behind this is because the bulk of the cost of this is the actual collection part, as opposed to the processing part for that part of it. And and that piece is the same for us, regardless of, it costs the same for us to have a 64 gallon as opposed to a 96 gallon,
You have a stop for it?
to have a stop for it.
Right.
Correct. So, and as far as the amount in the processing, it's really hard to quantify that because there are people who have 96 gallon carts that don't fill theirs either. So
Yeah, sure.
it's just a harder thing to manage that one. Do you have anything to add, Aaron, on that?
No, I just, yeah, we have,
Just want to make sure.
yeah, the bulk of our subscribers are 96, that's the base
I
program.
was gonna ask you what percentage.
Yeah, so if folks remember last year, we originally presented the transition from manual collection to automated collection. We only provided a 96 gallon cart for recycling and a 35 gallon cart for solid waste. We came to the commission a few months later and informed that we made the decision to add in that 64 gallon cart. That was after the initial rollout based on feedback we got from residents that wanted a smaller unit
Right.
that was easier to move, or they just didn't generate, 96 gallons worth of recycling weekly. So that was an option that we had provided after the fact. So majority of 96, that's what you see out there. We do have a number of customers that ask for additional carts. So there's quite a few additional carts that are deployed, both solid waste and recycling, that folks have asked for in their part of their subscription.
So there's no financial advantage to being a small card subscriber.
No, it's convenience and just an individual user need
And the additional card, so that's someone who wants another garbage can
or
Or
recycling.
recycling.
or recycling,
So-
and that's the amount per year, or that's per card?
There's it's per cart. So what we're showing here on under this, so the, where's here? Additional carts, so you pay that fee, and that's an additional monthly fee for the extra cart. And if I give you also another example, if you have say a current subscriber that calls us tomorrow and asks for an additional cart, they have to pay a one-time deployment fee, and that the fee is dependent on whether it's a trash or recycling cart. As proposed on the schedule.
To get the
To
card?
get the card, and then there's a monthly fee for the service itself.
Do a lot of people do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then any new subscriber, if there's a new subscriber that reaches out to us, say again tomorrow, that wants to subscribe to the program, they have to pay a deployment fee, based one-time fee to get the cards, and then a monthly fee for the subscription. And those fees, those are they're included in the contract, so it's not like an administrative fee for town staff time. That's what Waste Management charges to deploy those carts, because they come right from them.
And as I recall, there were some positive numbers comparing the old system to the new system in terms of number of subscribers. What are the differences between the old system and the new?
As far as the number, so we've,
The cost to the town. or
the cost to the town.
Or cost to subscribers too.
Oh, so when we originally proposed this program, when we proposed if we were going to move forward with the manual program last year, it was going to be about $603 for a year if we had not changed anything. So by changing things, we were able to keep the rate at $490 for last year, and now we're up to $512.
The cost of service continually goes up,
Right.
because we modified to the automated service, there's less labor involved.
Right,
The operational costs that they're incurred on the town from the contractor are less than they would have been if it stayed a manual program. Because they would have additional trucks, additional staff that they
Right.
have to pay, so our rate goes up.
right. Are the automated trucks, because that was not happening initially, the automated trucks, are they in play now? Are they in practice?
So they do have the trucks that have some automation to them. They've ordered new trucks specifically for Concord. Those have not arrived yet. But the trucks that they have do have an arm. They are able to pick up the toters. It's really based on the operator. We don't dictate their day-to-day operation. We pay the automated fee regardless if they have the person that manually tips it or the arm comes out of the truck and is able to tip the truck. We've gotten calls just, from time to time, residents that see different trucks. It's like any other operation, they have mechanical failures or breakdowns, trucks come out of service, they have to supplement with a truck from another route and come to town. They're still obligated to provide service to us. Even if they have a mechanical breakdown, so from time to time, they might see a truck that doesn't say Concord on it. They're working through that.
Are people generally happy with the service? Do we get feedback?
Yeah, we get good feedback. I think in the first couple of months, there were some, a lot of questions about what is the program, why is it changing? We did get some negative feedback. We did lose some customers.
Mhm.
That were not interested in subscribing with the new program for whatever
Because it was
individual reason.
manual or automated or-
Variety of reasons. They didn't like having a toter, they were too big,
Wow.
they didn't. So we heard a lot of reasons. But overall, we've seen an increase. Even with the customer that we've lost, we've seen an over 10% increase in new subscribers to the program. So,
That's good.
and, honestly, after after the first few months of the transition, we've been through it for almost, 11 months now. A lot of positive feedback. They like it. People want more carts.
Yep.
It looks clean. It's nice. There's not, the pest issue where you have, put a bag of trash out on the ground overnight, pests get into it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Now they're all in toters. We see a lot less of that, a lot less of.
Good.
We
Are
also
you
get a
happy?
lot less reports of missed pickups.
Mhm.
Because it's very much cut and dry. If they see a cart, they can pick it up,
Yeah.
so it's much clearer for the drivers as well. So we've really noticed that in our office as well.
Are you happy with the service?
Yes.
Very happy.
Yeah.
We've agreed, the Waste Management has been a contractor for the town of Concord for over 20 years. And they provide excellent service. They're very professional, they're very experienced and knowledgeable. They've been great to work through with this transition. It was a huge lift for Justine and the staff, within Public Works, and, they stepped up and helped with the plan, implementation. And have been flexible with us on, modifications. And, one of the examples is getting us the 64-gallon carts. That was something that wasn't part of the original plan. We were thinking about it, but, they were based on feedback. They were working with us. They got us those 64-gallon carts and we were able to implement those very quickly. So it's been good, very good.
They're very responsive. So if we have issues, we can get answers pretty quickly.
Yeah, I would know, I don't notice a lot, believe it or not. Fortunately, staff does. I notice when I'm driving around Concord, how much nicer the trash routes look
Mhm.
when you have this sort of uniform standard,
Yeah.
sort of collection. And it used to be, cardboard hanging
Yeah,
out, bags.
yeah.
It just looks night and day.
Mm.
And I said, Justine, do you have any pictures where it just shows, because I drive around and I'm noticing it and I go, that's important. So I think for the most part, it's been pretty well received.
Are you taking comments from,
We can, yes, go ahead.
a question on the economics, so you have a little more than half of the households subscribed, right? So the other half have other options. What's the advantage to the town? Additional subscribers? Is there any financial advantages of adding subscribers? It's good that we're getting more people in the program, but is there any advantage of getting more subscribers?
I think that if we saw a significant increase in subscribers and need to go to negotiate a new contract, like the cost per subscriber might be less. Right, because they have overhead costs, and there's a baseline cost of getting the truck to town and running it to pick up the entire town. And if we have more subscribers, they're paying the fee to cover that, probably brings it down a little bit. There are certain situations where, the subscribers that don't sign up for various reasons, because they want to like pay service that the town can't provide. Right, whether it's, specialized cart pickups directly from a garage or from a long driveway, or if they have a commercial property or much larger property and it just doesn't fit for them. Those are the ones that we typically don't have. You see, I think the total available, what's the total available number? I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Of available haulers to or sites that
So the total households
Yeah.
into Concord is about 5,500.
So of the
So, and
5,500,
then
you
you have
have
about
the 3780
30,
that we
yeah.
can serve.
We're
that
approaching 30.
Right, so,
But our contract is locked in for 2 more years, for 2 years.
correct.
For it's a 3-year contract, so we've got 2 more years.
And there is a comp, we
Yeah,
looked
so-
at sort of, and not everybody we find wants. Some people do have specialized service needs. In Concord, you can have some fairly long driveways and compounds and schedules and dates and, you know, so this has always been an opt-in since the landfill closed.
Yeah, I would also make a note that we have a very unique program. We're one of the few municipalities that has an opt-in program. A lot of other municipalities, you're covered whether you use it or not. You're either paying for it as part of like an enterprise tax or a general fund, when your general fund tax, you know, from real estate tax, and you can put the carts out or not. Here, people have to call and subscribe, and so we rely on that. In order to make sure that, you know, that's where we're getting our numbers from and are relying on those repeat subscribers. If there wasn't an interest in the program, it would dissolve, so.
All right, yeah, we can close the hearing. Do I have a motion to close the hearing for the FY
Oh,
26?
there's, I see another hand up, I'm sorry,
Okay.
yeah, just,
We can take questions.
yeah, Carlin Reed. Bob, can you allow access for Carlin?
There we go. Thank you, Carla Reed, 83 Wits End, member of the Finance Committee, speaking on my own behalf. Good rate hearing. Got a question about the collection actions. I'm wondering if this is a departure from prior practice, but my understanding is that utility bills, if unpaid, will become a lien against any real estate that the utility customer holds. Is that the current practice, and will that continue under the monthly billing approach?
So let's remind me, we've gone through, Carl, I'm sorry, between solid waste, recycling, stormwater, CMLP, we've had this conversation. I believe we can lean the solid waste recycling, or,
I think Carlin, I think we were told that certain utilities can be liened and certain ones cannot. And I think we're waiting for clarification on if this one is a lienable one or not.
yeah, this may not be lienable. I think what it is if people are not paying, we will just, you know, provide notice and stop service was the expectation.
That's what I.
I think that's the solid waste recycling, and we can confirm that, but, the intent
Alan,
is,
that is,
we can control the service. Yeah, Bob?
that is correct.
Okay.
Your description is accurate. We can't lean solid waste.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Can I ask a
So-
quick procedural question? Do we close the hearing before we vote?
Yes.
On the rates? Okay,
You do.
it isn't part
So
of,
we're still,
it's part of the hearing. It is a
Correct.
part of the hearing.
that's correct. You close the hearing, then you vote.
Okay.
Haven't closed it yet.
Okay. Are we good? Okay, I, Gretchen Rohrbach, hereby move to close the public hearing for the solid waste and recycling program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so now, is there any further discussion we'd like to have amongst the commissioners about the rates themselves? No? Okay,
Look,
so do I have a motion to
Can I
accept the rate?
propose a motion? We move to approve the proposed monthly billing schedule and rate increase as presented and as described, the fiscal year 2026 solid waste and recycling rate hearing memo dated September 5th, 2025, as submitted by the Public Works Director.
Thank you.
Just a second.
I, Gretchen Rohrbach, second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimously accepted.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Justine.
Justine.
You guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to the director's report.
There you go. Well. We
It's a
will
big
be,
one.
yeah, so this is, what's nice has been a busy, active summer, at least for staff and operations. You folks have been brought back from recess and now you gotta be re-engaged, so this is a great opportunity. for us to bring you up to speed. Just in the last couple of years, we kind of targeted the director's report to just one program, just because we had busy agendas. But today, given there was a recess and we had just one item, for action, we're gonna have the various division heads up to bring you up to speed on sort of what they've been busy, what their operation is busy with, and where we're going, just so we start getting our head back into the game, so to speak. So with that said, I think in order of, we go to director's report here. We are, Steve, it looks like engineering is up. I'll have Steve Dukran, town engineer, come on up to walk us through what engineering division is. So.
Steve Dukran, town engineer, thank you for having us. Welcome back. Before we get into the presentation, can we take up Ms. Neiman's questions?
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
So the first one has to do with the intersection of Bruce Freeman Rail Trail and at Williams Road. And the question was, what have we done in terms of what we plan to do? So when we first learned about the issue, staff met, including the police, and we discussed the situation. A decision at the time was we should go back to the designer of the intersection. Typically, when you have an incident of sorts and in industry, it always goes back to who designed this. And so we spoke with the designer, and the response was the intersection was designed per standards of the Mass DOT. And that was some years ago, and those same standards still hold. So then we did speak with the Mass DOT to have a meeting, and we've been going back and forth trying to get them. They wanted to have a meeting on a remote type meeting, and said, no, we want to have you on site where you can actually look at it. And the intention here is for them to tell us if the intersection still meets the standards, or if there are any deficiencies with it. So that's where we are. And we're still trying to nail down a meeting with the Mass DOT.
So do you need MassDOT's permission to do anything to that intersection, to put like removable bollards, which are consistent with the rest of the trail?
You remove bollards?
Remove, so you can have removable
Yes.
bollards. My understanding is you don't want to put anything permanent there because it prevents emergency vehicles from being able to drive up onto the trail in case someone is hurt. And so one of the solutions that was proposed was not to put a permanent bollard there, but one that's removable. My understanding are those types of bollards are placed at different parts of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail already. So it's not like it would be something completely out of line with what's currently done on the trail.
I'm not aware of bollards along the trail within the town.
It may not be in Concord, but it might be in
I
other
see.
parts of the Bruce Freeman Rail Trail.
All right, so
So
what we've been told thus far is that bollards were placed along rail trails, in earlier designs. Progressively, they've been removed and replaced with other things. So within this town, what you have at the head of the trails are small median islands, very low, and
trip hazards, yeah.
trip hazards, which we learned, and highway and grounds and others, we have determined that, and this is before that incident took place, that we should put these flexible delineators to mark those islands, which, Aaron's team went about installing, and you'd see at the various intersections those. And if we go into Sudbury, which is the latest stage of the Bruce Freeman Trail, you'll see nothing at all, not even the islands. So we need to hear from the Mass DOT themselves, how they're addressing these intersections. So we're not going to jump into making a change without first the designer being okay with it because we still will hold this designer responsible. Should the town be sued because of this incident, obviously the designer will be having to respond. So that's the,
But in the interim, those tall cones that are currently placed, I don't know who placed them, but I really appreciate those being there, and I know that one of the folks that was hit there appreciates it being there. If those will continue to be in place to really mark it as just bring more visibility to that spot until something permanent is decided.
yes. About bollards, I've tried to educate myself about this whole situation. The inflexible bollards that you see at other trails years ago were the intention was to prevent vehicles from going.
That's just what happened here.
And then it turned out that you couldn't access the trail, so then it started going with the removable bollards. But I was also learned that a bollard by itself will not stop an errant vehicle. The whole idea about marking the entrances is to deter people from willingly driving up. So again, a lot of discussions happening in the design world about this, and we are waiting for people who are brighter than me to tell us what to do.
So do you know what the timeline is for that? I mean, like, in your professional opinion, do you expect to see a solution in the next few months or the next 6 months or the next year?
I will wait for the Mass DOT to give guidance. Until we have that meeting, I couldn't predict.
Any sense of when that meeting could occur?
So they had sent a couple weeks ago, they sent a message saying they're talking to their staff to see if they can have them all together within a couple of weeks. That time has come and I haven't heard from them. I'll follow up with them to see.
And similarly on the Uplands Road incident, has a decision been made for like a plan been put in place for that as well for traffic calming along that road?
So that is part of, looking at that road is part of the program that we are trying to engage in currently. All right, so let's get to this. This picture is meant to tell you we've done some paving on some busy streets over in West Concord. We used existing contracts. Questions, when we were doing this work, questions came up from public. Why can't we do this, that, and the other? And now that we're having funding, well, that funding was not available. And the funding actually only became real last month, right? When we had the ballot. So the next slide shows which streets we.
So I think just to underscore that, the design, identifying, then a design, then bidding and construction with large projects happens over months, sometimes years. And the real challenge is we try to do a lot within a very tight window of a construction season. And we've talked about that in the past. So what Steve is describing is work that had been designed and bid, but we ran out of time in the winter. And then spring, we're still working on that contract. It's not new, it's not the new money. It's so once you've entered into a contract, you can't go change it. And that's not, that's mid-flight at that point. So that's historically been a challenge. And I think this year, especially giving all the attention on the roads program and safety is, well, can you do these other things? Like, no, we're not there yet. We didn't have the funding. We were working on the past. So just an important concept. And, we shouldn't run into that problem moving forward. That's one of the benefits of our recent sort of.
We try to capture here to show on a map what we've done over in West Concord. We did Losbrook Road, a large portion of Main Street, and then Barrett's Mill.
Is it red or blue? What's the difference between the red and blue?
Oh, it's a red. The red
Is what?
one.
Red is new.
The blue actually is a turnpike, so we don't want to do that.
It's state, isn't it? So the red is what you did.
The red is.
Yes.
And gray is our municipal roads.
Okay.
Right. And then, let's go back.
Let's go back, okay.
Over in East Concord. Barely did anything, no, just kidding. We did Ripley Hill, Road, and we did the 3 roads over in Silver Hill neighborhood. And then the list that I have on the bottom of the screen there shows what's left for this year. We're gonna be starting that work as soon as we get a schedule from the contractor. So it's quite a bit of work left, run into a little bit of delay, because of, the financial approval of the contract and so on, but we're trying to catch up with that, trying to get as much as that, done this year.
So for what do you predict then? So for 2025, whatever your goal was in terms of repaving, are you gonna hit it by the fall? Are you gonna hit 80% of it? Where do you end up?
Until we get a schedule from the contractor, it's hard, if they dedicate them the efforts in the town, you can get it all done, like we saw on that list. But if this time of the year, everybody wants their work done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
And contractors have scheduled, and part of our challenge has just been sort of universally is it's just been, working, finance has had, some personnel issues, working with contracts language. There's been what I call the administrivia.
Mhm.
It's not
So it's
the
been slow.
engineering, it's
Yeah.
just been slower than we would, prefer. And the problem is the construction window is tight.
Right.
And once contractors get a contract, they don't want to talk until their contract is set.
Yeah.
Once it's set, then they'll work with you and they'll schedule you, but it's hard to say, keep us, on your
Yeah.
list. They just have to go with, this is a green light, we're gonna
Right.
move
So
on.
have we contracted then so if we have the window through when, the end of November, how much longer can you pave?
so we try to get it done by middle of November, but
Okay.
if the weather's good, we can.
Right, so have you got contracts in place to do that work yet, or are we still?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we do.
contracts.
Okay. So you have an expectation then of what would get done? Even though they haven't come and told you if they can do it? I'm just trying to understand.
So how it works is that they're on a contract.
Yeah,
You give them so many days.
Right.
You might give them, 60 days to do this work.
right,
And if they start on day 1, they have the 60 days to finish.
right,
If we get give them notice to proceed as later, it may run beyond the paving dates. And then we have put off some of it to the spring.
Then you would change order, you agree to
Okay.
hold off, but you don't wanna start something and leave it mid-construction, you're changing castings or something like that. You might
Right.
just say, just hold off on that project and we'll hit it as soon as spring allows.
And there are always a lot of challenges, trying to meet, residents' needs, making sure they have access to their driveways.
Mhm.
And then we have managing traffic. Sometimes you have to detour, sometimes you have to close a lane, all of that. And so
Well, I'm just-
complications.
I'm just trying to figure out how do I measure your success, right? So if how do I know they've done a good job, right, in 2025 on paving, or they haven't, right? That's what I'm trying to figure out, right? What is it, an A, a B, or C? So I'm looking for some parameters by which I can assess, yeah, we're hitting the targets or we're not. You must have that, Alan, right? You must be a way for you to figure out, I'm gonna hit these targets or not, right? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think the variables are such that you don't control, the town doesn't control and engineering doesn't control, so I'm not sure.
You mean the contracting part, or what part don't you control? The weather or?
The workers. not doing it.
Whether
Workers doing it.
the schedules and these contractors are, infamous for, well, we'll try to get out there.
Okay,
And then you start making commitments, and this is really challenging for us, because really we're trying to keep, it's not so much the measure of success, we're gonna get the units
Yeah.
based on a cost.
hmm
So ideally, we could do it in a window that's most ideal for the community, but it's just always a balancing act, and that's what we're hoping with our larger projects.
Mhm.
There's more commitment to work with us. If we're a filler,
yeah,
you get treated like filler.
yeah, okay.
So it's a good question, and we can kind of figure out,
Well, then certainly for next
Yeah,
year,
yeah.
I want that, right? I'd want an ability to say, this is what our goal is, this is how, and we're gonna give them the long-term lead time, so they know you're in this, it's enough money for you to be interested and so forth, so
Mhm.
that we can hold them accountable, and we can hold you guys accountable, right, for delivering, right, on what we wanna get done.
So that's an important subject that you're bringing up, Christine. Contracts are supposed to be what they are, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's a business
Right,
arrangement. You'll hear from contractors that this is not an easy town to work for.
okay.
Can I just
Yeah.
ask a quick question? Maybe you're getting to it, but like, you mentioned there's a slowdown of approval of contracts this summer.
There has,
Is that a typical slowdown or that's unique?
No,
to
it's been
summer?
unique, it's been unusual.
And that approval comes from the
Just part of
finance
the,
director?
The financial, yeah.
it's, we've had staffing transitions where you've had new hires, people who, you know, were, you know, not available. And we don't, one thing Concord suffers from is we don't have deep benches. We, you know, there's a single point of, you know, what I call failure, at least we try to talk about when someone's not available or someone who had the special knowledge is not available, it's not days, it's weeks, if not months.
Mm.
And that has affected our construction, and it's very frustrating for us because it's more black and white. It's a project.
Yeah,
But the town has been wrestling with this for years.
yeah,
I can not tell you how many years I've heard we will have a standard contract
Right.
language.
yeah.
It shouldn't be
It shouldn't be.
contract of the week. And it's just the challenge is that continuity has not happened for a number of reasons, but we don't drive that. We just sort of, you know, have to work with it.
But I think we should bring it up, right? Because we now have a big load of money
Correct.
that we're gonna spend and we'll
Correct.
spend well, so
Yeah.
it's a different day.
Yeah.
I think we should demand something different from the administration as well.
Yeah.
What, your comment that people don't think we're easy to deal with, what
Yeah.
are the issues that we present to vendors?
well, probably how they see it. Some of the things that we ask them to do, they don't have to do it in other towns. Like, for instance, we have scheduled some work, you know, next week on a street. And we want the contractor to go out to walk the 2 miles of road and give each resident a notification
Wow.
in hand, a door hanger.
Uh-huh.
And it's additional work,
Why do we do
Right.
that?
because that's the service we provide. And yeah,
It's
we
the
should think
service is
about it.
expected, you know, it's
Really?
expected, yeah.
Why?
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, we do
We could
have
put something in the
certain,
paper, right, that says these are the streets that are being, and
yes,
how much interaction then do they have with the residents? Are they saying, I'm not here on Tuesday, so don't do, I mean, what actually happens?
so the idea is to give them notification so that when we're in front of their,
Yes, yeah, that
Right.
they know what's going
they
on.
have what's going on,
Yeah.
if they have to go to the doctors, they time themselves. And we make sure a contractor provides that service, that they don't interrupt. They don't, you know, if they're in front of a driveway and somebody has to get out, stop all work, get them out and that kind of thing. Then we have very restricted hours, you know, on certain streets. You can't start until 9 o'clock. Contractors, that's
Mhm.
2 hours of their day. It's gone.
it's a good question, and we'll capture that, because these
I
are
think
the
we should talk
costs.
about that. I think
Yeah,
it's-
you know, and these are all great questions, and,
Yeah.
you know, we're sensitive to, we only push back so much, because ultimately we're trying to serve the customer's expectations. And sometimes you know, the question is, when should that be challenged? And I think that's a
Well,
good
Trying to
question.
make,
Yeah.
good use of the money that we've been
Correct.
given, right, to get an important piece of work done.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
okay, are there other things besides the customer interaction?
Well, no, we try to keep our contracts tight and all of that,
Yeah.
you know, it's not perfect, but.
Yeah.
You know, whereas some towns, you know, they don't pay attention and they just let the contractors do what they want to do and they in and
Yeah.
out and.
Yeah, well, I think we should manage the contract. I think that's a good, that's a good
Yeah.
thing, but if we're asking for things that nobody else gets, I don't know about that.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'm just curious, to what extent are third-party projects like National Grid, do they disrupt this program? Paving related to those projects, is that on us, or is it on them? How do you
Yeah.
factor in those third-party projects which are not exactly predictable?
And you're asking Paul about the impact of the paving?
Well,
Schedule-
you got project, right, and you got, somebody has to pave it,
Right,
and it's probably not in your 5-year plan.
right.
So that's a project that's,
So we have very, very good coordination with National Grid, and they're the biggest culprit of digging up the streets. And, so we meet on a monthly basis and we share information. We want to know what they're doing. But they change their minds quite a bit, because they'll also look at their capital dollars and where they can invest those dollars. So they may want to move forward a certain street and then they change their minds. So we go through a whole process. It goes to the select board, as you've seen, to get the grant of location approved and all of that. But yeah, we coordinate well, and you'd see where we may have to delay a certain street for 4 or 5 months while we let them go and do their thing.
But as far as paving plans, scheduling, you know, they may come out with a project next year, go before the select board may approve that, and paving is involved. It's not on your schedule, so you have to insert that. And does that become a priority?
Well, they're very smart about going into streets that we are going to pave.
Yeah.
So you'd hardly see them going into a street that's not on the paving list.
We do communicate with them. We reach out and try and share as best as we can, and they try to coordinate with us.
Yeah.
It's not perfect, but this is I'm on Mass Municipal Association's Public Works Committee, and this is a problem every community is grappling with. When you get a third-party contractor coming in, National Grid, you can't control everything, and every community does their own way to try and coordinate, but it's a legitimate challenge, no question. One of the many things that we just have to juggle.
Right, that's another factor that may delay.
Yeah, some of the intersection work and, where, Steve, we were talking about one of the projects.
I'll cover that one.
Okay,
next
we'll
slide.
talk about that and using a real world example. So, yeah.
All right,
5-year plan.
5-year plan. Yes. So $25 million, Article 8 towards paving. The 27.5 included 2.5 towards pedestrian type improvements. I want everyone to understand that we've been given a mandate to achieve the pavement condition index of 85 out of 100 by the end of year 5. So that budget was put together by looking at our street network, looking at how we're going to improve the streets over the 5-year period to get that pavement condition index, which is important to the town. That's where that money is dedicated for. It is not a complicated program. It is the program for selecting the streets and applying the different treatments and those sorts of things is pretty standard across industry. It's just the volume of work, the impact to the residents, to traffic and so on. That has to be done. The impact we got in utilities and what they want to do and so on. And we have already started that. Multi-year contracts. We're looking into doing multi-year contracts, so we have that flexibility to bounce around town. If one street isn't ready, we go to another. Then we don't have to go through the procurement process every year. We have multi-year contracts. So there are a lot of advantages to having the money available. What you have on the screen there, people have asked about what the plan is. It's a 5-year plan. You can go online under the engineering page. You don't have to dig deep. It's right there when you go in there. And that map shows up. You can pick a street with your cursor, and it shows you, for example, here, this is the information regarding Lexington Road. And it tells you what year it is. It tells you about the type of treatment and that kind of thing. It is subject to change because we may do more survey of the conditions and update the map. Some streets may drop off, others may come on. Hopefully it stays consistent, because if someone is expecting the street to be done in 5 years, we'd like to keep that promise. But things can happen. We have a bad winter, the whole program can change for the next year, not necessarily the next 5 years.
The winter deteriorating roads in a way that hadn't been programmed. Again, this is a program. This isn't an individual. This is a bunch of data that's in a system that spits out a recommendation. Obviously, engineering looks at it and sort of tries to make, kind of proof it. But, it's a plan and program, as Steve says, it is subject to some change.
Right.
Not whole change, but some change.
So if a street can deteriorate in a winter, that changes the project. That tells us again how important it is to have people in the finance department with the confidence and experience to approve contracts in a timely basis. Because if you miss that window of construction, you come the next year, now you've got to do more. So I just want to get that message out.
Yeah, so there's an example of that, and I want to be very clear, this isn't about individuals, this is about systemic challenges town's been facing, because a lot of individuals had to step up above and beyond to try and just keep things, afloat. So I want to be very clear about that. But we were talking, I'm learning about these roads programs too, we're talking about certain treatments, which is, the more modest, a fog ceiling. Wasn't that sort of the concern? To get those contracts in place so we could get a fairly easy, simple treatment in a timely manner before the road gets to the next step, and we're gonna miss a season, likely because of scheduling. Correct? It's temperature sensitive, so, if you're not doing it in the summer and you start getting into the fall, what they wanna do is go, wait a minute, we don't wanna make commitments. Now there's more uncertainty, we're gonna hold off, till that contract's in place, you line up. And so I think that's an example, real world of some of the challenges.
Yeah, I think the treatment I really wanted to mention is preservation type treatments like microsurfacing. Which if you don't do now, next year might be too late on that street. Now you have to do something that's
More expensive.
more expensive, yeah. All right, and because of the large amount of work, we are seeking the help of consultants, and we're in the process of selecting and hiring them.
Oh, two things, yes. Question's been, is this gonna be too much for engineering? It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of impact on the community, so yes, we're aware of that. We've been having discussions as far as to spend this money wisely. We do believe we're gonna need some third-party support to help manage it and prioritize it. So that's part of, the allowance of the 25 million is to have that expertise available. We also understand there's transportation issues and interest as well, including the pedestrian safety. And we also think that an individual could help us, sort of with the prioritization and making sure we're efficient and not having Steve or planning have to do something that's not part of their normal routine. We do think in the short term, having somebody on board to provide that what I call third-party support will be efficient, but we're sort of, having to bake that in. The other issue that we're concerned about, and it's just resources, traffic management, details, that sort of thing. It's historically been a challenge even with the more limited work because there's just not a large pool. So we'll be working with the police department and town manager on that as well, because, that does dictate some of the schedule and availability of, doing work. So those are two highlights, I think, that I've heard.
Can I follow up? So when you're talking that we need someone or something, are we thinking of third party, kind of like we did at the wastewater treatment plant, like having Weston Sampson? Are we thinking about hiring somebody
Yeah,
to come
something
in?
like that, something that what I call owner project manager in construction. Something along those lines, but Steve, I don't know if you get phrase it better, but owner project manager is an engineer who might help with vertical construction that you don't do daily, but they do. So it's efficient. You only need them for a short period of time, but.
When another slide down, I'll talk a little bit more
Okay.
about
Yeah.
So you're not thinking about a new hire, you're thinking about that kind of,
That's right, not a
Okay,
new,
I just
not
wanted
a,
to
not a new
clarify that.
employee.
that. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
correct.
all right.
Right. Want to get into a little bit more about the pedestrian and bicycle safety. Up to this point, the funding has been very little, not even modest. And what we have been managing to do a few things, for example, what we have done this year, the Signs and Lines project for the Thoreau School District. In the center there is the placement of a lighted bollard right there, the Main and Walden. It's not, that doesn't light yet because it's not connected. but that's the intention is to mark the location. And then on the right side there, the before and after on a sidewalk repair, important sidewalk repair down in West Concord in front of the tavern. And if you have been down there before, you've seen the sidewalk was very heaved. We've taken care of that. Other things that I'm not showing would be, we do tip downs when we pave, so this year we did some, this is the sidewalk tip downs.
ADA, sort of, yeah.
Okay.
We are looking at some lane striping down in West Concord and Losbrook and Main Street. Is the opportunity to narrow the lanes. We're talking to a consultant for guidance. Obviously, we're looking for outside expertise and experience. We're doing those things. We don't have to do them arbitrarily. We've got to look at truck traffic and the like. Then the Walden Street sidewalk from at the fire police station all the way past the high school. That's under design. So that's moving
We
forward.
got a complete street grant for that, so, I think Steve, the other thing worth noting, and this is where it's challenging. With the signed and line project. At the end of the day, it doesn't look like that shouldn't cost much. But a lot goes into preparing for that and just understanding what is the right design, because ultimately there's always risk when you start changing things for safety. And so, just to get lines and a couple signs, it's thousands of dollars. It's not just, give me some white paint. It's tens of thousands depending on. So we'll get into that as we start identifying some of these interests of the town, because there's many. And we literally have to manage a budget, and we have to do that efficiently. And so that's really where, as Andrea was saying, we're eager to have a system in place so everybody understands what the rules of engagement are. Because without it, it's like a free-for-all. And you're only gonna hear from one, interest in this area without consideration. I don't care what you're doing townwide. I need this done. Well, we have to care about the broader impact and how we do it efficiently and fairly.
So what is this system? It's an input process?
It's
or-
gonna be sort of how to sort of collect the request or information. And then manage it through various, programs, and depending on the program, it might be something that has to come to the Public Works Commission. Might be something that goes to TAC, it might be something that's just in engineering, we'll just bake that into a project, because we see that's gonna be done in 2 years, and maybe that's when it can efficiently be. And so a recommendation, so that's.
It's a
the kind of thing.
routing process to take in.
Basically, and then also let people know where did their inquiry go.
Mhm.
That's been a challenge in the past and hasn't been done. We know to the satisfaction of the
And who's gonna
people.
do that? Someone in your organization? or
It's gonna
something?
be a combination of staff from Public Works, police, planning, as well as boards and committees like Public Works Commission, the Transportation Advisory Committee, potentially Select Board.
Mhm.
And this other slide shows exactly what you're talking about. Next.
Oh, thank you.
So I don't have to spend any time on this, but the genesis of this was a select person, Warren, who started looking at this. We had a working group and she, and Andrea talked a lot about this at the beginning. And so there's a bit of a refinement of what Paul started. We try to capture all the different processes, all the different lists, where things are. And we know it's a lot to deal with. We have to look at streamlining them, probably get them onto one list. And more of what Alan said, and this is probably where we actually need the help getting this outside project manager to help with this, putting this together and getting the right product of this. Now, what are we using here to finish this program or complete this program would be the $2.5 million that was appropriated, as well as the Chapter 90 money. We're looking at another 2.5 over a 5-year period. So spending $5 million over a period.
Where does the other
2.5
come from?
Chapter 90, the state
There's state. fund.
annual grant,
And that's, we've committed because the borrowing allows the 2.5. The state funds,
every year.
every year and it's dependent on. But so the combination of the two are gonna help us advance the pedestrian and safety components. And as I'm gonna just say for Steve's benefit, and Chris, it goes back to your, how do we know if you're successful? He's very concerned if we don't spend the money on the pavement to get to 85, he and his staff are gonna be said, you guys failed.
Mhm.
So we gotta be very protective of, we can't take all the money that's
Yeah.
the bread and butter and then redistribute it because of there's other interests. We gotta be very serious as far as what we're doing, how we're doing it, and, you know, and again, it's, as long as we have a process that people can understand and we
Right,
can
but there's a
communicate.
separate budget for this. It's not mixed into the 25 million, right?
That's right, this is the
The
2.5.
This is 2.5 and the ceiling would be 5 if.
Correct.
the state.
Correct, yeah, and now some of them are complementary, and as
Okay.
we said, some of the work we do on improving pavement is beneficial for all involved. It's a safety issue as
Yeah.
well for cyclists and that
Right.
sort of thing.
Now, and I want to restate something I've said a few times, probably not in front of this group, but even though $5 million sounds like a lot of money, it's $1 million a year, right, to spend.
To me.
The needs out there far outweigh
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we can do, right? Stantec prepared a report at the end of last year, beginning of this year, which said our backlog on sidewalk repairs, let's repairs the existing sidewalk, is approaching $6 million, right? And the backlog, let's call the backlog for sidewalks that should be in place, new sidewalks, is in the order of $13 million. So I think what we want to focus this $5 million is really on those safety improvements and those requests, you know, is there a speeding problem in Upland Street that should be addressed?
Mhm.
Problems like, should there be a crosswalk, a mid-block crosswalk on Haywood Street? Improvement of the crosswalk at the Sudbury Road at the library, so on and so forth. Yeah. Dunn's Square comes up all the time. We should be addressing that. So that's where we want to rank those projects properly, get engineering done, and proceed with getting them in place. All right, so let's just highlight a few quick projects here. This is a Main Street, Baker Ave, Cottage Street intersection. We've been looking at this for the last couple of years. The design's been developing, but I'm working with the abutters, especially the two banks. It's been quite slow. But we finally have verbal agreements. I think you've heard that. We're getting closer and closer. And they still want to take another look at the design. They have getting their own lawyers, their own engineers. And so that's getting in the way, but we are heading towards trying to get bid documents out pretty soon. In the meantime, National Grid comes up and says, we want to do a project, and that's their project on the right side of the screen there. So they're about to launch that project in the next few weeks. We are scheduled a neighborhood meeting in a couple of weeks, a combined meeting with National Grid to talk about our project and their project, get a neighborhood prepared for all this work that's gonna start. In earnest, we probably won't get a whole lot done under our project. It involves relocating a major utility pole at the beginning of Baker Ave. And that'll involve CMLP and every carrier on that pole. So that has to take place. I see the majority of the work being done next year and hopefully completed next year to get us in place. All right. Quite close to that intersection is the culvert that's has had a collapse. We've got a bid, we got a contractor ready to go there. National Grid did go there earlier in the summer and relocated a gas line to allow our project to take place. The biggest component of our project is putting in a large concrete vault where the collapse is. And that's why we need to get the gas out of the way. It's going to be very disruptive to Baker Ave. Police are concerned about managing traffic because they're going to take most of the road conductors' work. You may find it down to one lane for most of the day, or completely shut down.
Yeah.
It all depends on how it gets conducted.
And we think of things like, could night work be done?
Yeah.
You know, in a way too, but then there's always then there's people, you know, abutters who, you know, it's the
Yeah.
sensitivity of what we try to, you know, bring to the table, so. Anyway. Are we getting close? I'm just looking
Yes,
at it.
yes, just to run on this quickly, other projects, I just want to make mention of. We did some major drainage work on Ripley Hill before it got paved, and those are the pictures. The Spencer Brook culvert, we're working on design to replace that. That work is gonna start this year, hopefully it gets done this year. I don't know if you got that, to see the problems we have out there. We have a guardrail replacement project, we got bids, we're gonna put that, get that in this year. Dover and Darton Street, do you want to talk more about that, Alan?
Yeah, very briefly, you're aware that there was a petition about improvement for stormwater and some road improvement. Over the summer, we did meet with the abutters. We've determined that the direct abutters would be those that would be assessed a betterment. So that
Where
was-
is this?
This is over in White Pond neighborhood,
Oh, right.
Dover and Darton.
Oh, yes.
And so, we've had a neighborhood meeting where we met with, I think it was 10 out of the 13 abutters. And we got general understanding that they all know it's expensive. They all know that they will likely bear the cost. They appreciate that the town has been putting this effort in to help design, but there's still some concern about the cost. And so we had a low ball of maybe a $90,000, $90,000 fix that might not be great, but if it's their money and their risk, they might be willing to accept it. We had a much more advanced design that was more of a 25-year conventional kind of system that had an outfall and some catch basins. That was $350,000 plus or minus, including repaving the roads. They think that's far too rich for their taste, so then they'd ask, can we consider something else, maybe something along the lines of $15,000 per house, so they gave us a budget. And so we're looking at, you know, maybe a reconfiguration of maybe something that's not a 25-year design basis, but maybe a 10. We're in that process right now, and I imagine fairly soon we'll be able to circle back with them. This won't be in front of the Public Works Commission until there's a legitimate project that they feel like they want to support. And, you know, if there needs to be a article for town meeting, we'll be clear as far as what is the cost and what would be a betterment. So that's something that may happen as we, you know, prepare for town meeting.
So that would mean the town's paying for it versus?
The town finances it, and that's all part of this
Right.
bylaw that was established,
Right.
you know,
And
back,
Then they pay us back.
they would pay
Yeah.
back over time, yeah, so.
That's good.
Yeah.
Just a question. I'm really, my head is spinning
Hmm.
as I'm listening to all the variables in the system, and we'll have another conversation about that, but are there buckets?
It's
What I'm
the
often-
white hair.
Right, yeah. We'll make sure it doesn't get lost. Are there buckets that you guys put this work into? Like, there's paving work, there's safety work, cause you talk about an intersection.
Yeah.
Like that Baker, that's not paving. I mean, there's paving involved, but you're not doing that. How do you
Next
think
month.
about?
Next month, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Part of our capital plan, and
Okay,
you're correct,
there are different.
and we have to keep
buckets.
them organized that way.
Right,
Yeah.
all right.
I thought you were going to suggest 2 more FTEs for me.
That too, yeah.
That too.
But they're all gonna intersect, you know, it's gonna be a
Yeah.
Venn diagram and everything is just,
It's
nothing is isolated.
systemic. I mean, it's just like, talk about a stochastic. It's just
Drainage.
All right, we're not through engineering, but we need to get through
Yeah, yeah,
engineering.
yeah.
Look at the clock.
Because you will see some paving on the MBTA lot in West Concord.
Mhm.
And it's described in the direction report what we're doing there. And also the Church Street parking lot, we're gonna be working on that. That paving of that, or the improvements there are contingent upon the last one I have on the list, which is the Harvey Rear entrance.
Yeah.
That work has to be done yet. We are under contract, but that work may run into the winter, which means that the parking lot work may get pushed out into display.
What work?
The parking lot itself.
The parking lot, it sort of has to be integrated, you have to finish one before you do the next, and this is part of, I'm gonna go back, Chris. We've had frustration, but I'm not gonna assign it to, but it's real, and we need to do something about it, kind of holistically, and no one would disagree. So Steve, I think that's,
Took my half hour.
you took your 15 minutes, thank you. Russ? You have 3 minutes. No, so Russ Carlston, our facility manager, is, you're gonna present a little overview of a few major issues on, his radar.
Yeah, Russ Carlstaff, facility manager. We don't have the huge projects that Steve does, but we have little fun projects. So working with all the other departments, we find little ways to reuse equipment. We found these bike racks out at Peabody. And Mimi had a place for them. So we put them down at the shared space next to Tea Cake and the seafood. They said they were gonna install them. So hopefully they've done that by now. So, but we have that in writing, so we're good. Updating some offices for the highway department. It looks like a mess. You should have seen it before. This was totally torn apart, and rebuilt, new floors, lighting, HVAC. And we're waiting for furniture to come in. So that's, I just want to put the picture up there. So we're doing a lot of internal things, little jobs like this we do in-house to save money. And then the buddy, the chiller at the townhouse. This was an interesting project. So the chiller died. Critical crisis. We sent our HVAC tech on it. We find out it needs a couple parts. We order the parts. They don't come in. Parts.
When did it die?
Oh, that was end of May, beginning of June.
Just before the summer.
Right,
It's a
so
little warm this summer.
it's slightly warm, man. Ask the people in town hall. So we tried to fix it. We spent a week and a half trying to find parts. Finally became apparent to us the parts were not available because the machine is over 22 years old. And so the vendor's inventory was wrong.
Which is.
So nationwide, we couldn't find the right parts. So we decided we had to put a new chiller in. So we went to the state. Well, first off, this is on 32 Monument Square property. This is behind the hedgerow. If you look out there, you can see the outdoor seating for the restaurant. There's pipes that go along this back wall, underground, through the basement at 32 Monument, through all the spaces in the basement.
Wow.
Underground up through the parking lot and into our basement. So this is all news to me when I only been here 18 months, just had to find out these things. So luckily the building owner adjacent to us is very friendly and easy to work with. There is a lease agreement at no cost to the city just for liability purposes. And that had been not renewed, so we have that renewed now. So in quick fashion, typically it's 8 to 10 weeks to find a chiller. But called a few contacts, we had a chiller in 2 weeks. It was on site in 3 weeks. And the contract negotiations took approximately 8 weeks through legal. So the chiller is now scheduled to be installed a week from Saturday, just in time for winter.
Who's legal? In-house, you have in, you don't have in.
It's a
in-house.
combination of, yes.
Yeah,
There's
it's just-
internal, there's external, it's part of the,
You know, so it's a factor. We were able to move quickly to get it done, but there was some roadblocks internally for us and we're trying to work through those procedurally moving forward.
How much was the price of it?
This chiller cost just shy of $60,000.
You need 8 weeks to negotiate a contract for a $60,000 item? That's like kind of nuts, right? Kind of nuts. That's kind of.
You're the board.
Yeah.
The,
These two are being very quiet right now.
yeah, we don't go on record for much. The total contract price is $148,000. The process to install this chiller is to park a crane behind this brick building. Lift the old chiller up and out.
Yeah.
And bring a new chiller up and over the building.
Wow.
So there's absolutely no work involved on this replacement on town property.
Huh.
And it's about a 6-hour process. So That-
What's the life of a chiller?
20 years. Most heavy equipment like that, we rate it 20 years. At
So you
around-
had an inventory that told you it was 22 years old, you have inventories like that?
Well, you can tell by the nameplate data on it, so we
Yeah.
knew that, and we had tried to get it replaced earlier, but there just wasn't any funding
They
for it.
did the townhouse recently.
That's right.
So why would you have looked at it then to say,
Previous
let's put an
facilities,
HVAC?
it was identified previously, but it was rejected in funding
Okay.
about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
We also had a boiler fail, you know, shortly after the rehab. So this is part of the problem of when we identify needs. As staff, we just have to communicate them. So it's not always what people want to hear, but our job is to put it on the table. And, you know, we've done that. We did that for the roads program for many, many years. And finally, with the board support and the ability to communicate effectively, we got, you know, an understanding, but it's difficult. And we also know there's competing demands across the town. And
Would there be any point in documenting a handful of these? Like exactly this case, the life of the chiller was recognized as 20 years. We projected these were gonna be the costs. We put it forward wherever it got put forward. This isn't to blame anybody, it's just to
No,
educate.
definitely.
no,
people.
this is where people say they appreciate my, I guess, candor. I said, it's your system. I owe it to you to tell you what you need to know. And it's just, Dave, this happens all over the place.
Right.
And realistically, it's even the 27.5 million was strategic and we know we can get ahead.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get ahead.
Mhm.
And sometimes you just have to get what you think might be acceptable. And there's always gonna be decisions made. We're putting a capital
Yeah.
plan that is not gonna be funded. Because we'll say, if you have X million, you guys are asking for X plus,
Right.
where do you cut?
Yeah,
And it's always year after year, that's
Right,
it's
it's a prioritization.
it's a prioritization.
Yeah.
But that particular item caused a lot of disruption right in the town. Because
Yes,
you couldn't
Significant.
have meetings in there. It was a
Correct.
big deal, not.
Yeah,
not
all
just-
summer long and
Yeah, right.
and Russ and his team
Yeah.
moved quickly to do what they could. And I think that's just, yeah.
and
so-
you know, we procured a few $1,000s worth of portable chillers to put, air conditioners to put in towns, but you can't do it. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
So now we have a unit, another similar situation to the police station, we've been trying to fix for a couple of weeks. That unit's 23 years old, so that's gonna be going off a bid shortly for replacement. And we have to do that quick because that's also a heating unit.
oh,
And I will transition, because that's the last slide. Is that the last one you have?
That's the last one.
Okay. We are in the process of, staff is involved with, trying to support in shadow, two major initiatives. One is relating to the MCI redevelopment, because of the wastewater. We'll talk a little bit about that. The other is there is a municipal land use working group who have picked up on a study that was completed in 2020. It was probably 5 years past its date, that identified needs for public works. It talked about townhouse, it talked about public safety, police and fire. So 10 years ago, there was an understanding that these things were gonna happen. And 10 years later, these things are still in place and we're still talking about what to do next.
Right.
And this is part of the cycle. And again, it's just the facts, but you know, there's no surprise that
yeah.
it served its useful life and it failed and,
Yeah.
you know.
And we're in the process of inventorying all the large equipment,
Right.
going through, we recently hired a new HVAC tech, he's been 6 months, he's on board now.
Yeah.
So,
Doing the
see great-
preventive maintenance,
we
which is
see
really important.
great promises, we wanna be in a position of doing predictive maintenance instead of firefighting
Right.
like we're doing now.
Right.
Exactly, right. Right.
And,
Right.
I'll just put it out there, we're looking at a large restoration renovation project at Barrett Mill, which is probably gonna cost about $250,000 to $300,000 for the farmhouse. It needs all new windows. There's a lot of problems on that building and we have to address it. We have people living there. We have to take care of it. We own the building. So there's a lot of numbers gonna be going
We
on
get
soon.
CPC money for that or federal funding for that?
No, it's too restricted, number one, and not enough money. So they pay rent every month into a fund, so there is a substantial amount of money, about 100,000.
Okay.
And we'll have to see what the numbers look like and pick up what we can with the rest. So,
All right, Russ, you kept us on schedule. Thank you.
that's what I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Darren LaFollum? Water Sewer Superintendent,
Okay, that
come on
sounds-
down.
Good afternoon.
Hello there.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
We had some dignitaries to our wastewater treatment plant.
Got left off that list.
We couldn't, if we had three people, we had a, public meeting, what was it?
No, you only had two, so
I had
you
two.
didn't have a quorum. And again, this is an open invitation to this commission. You've earned the right to come in and get tours, ask detailed questions. We appreciate what you do, for the community, but also if you want to or interested in, you get the hall pass to come on in and see us. So Gretchen and Andrea, said, we want a hall pass. We want to go see some facilities. So we took them around.
I'm still trying to get into the prison. I didn't get to go in. She
Maybe
got to go in. So you and I.
Okay.
We're on for the prison.
Alan is planning a visit with Geo, the engineer, and Geo has mentioned contacting you to extend that offer when this bid is scheduled.
Good.
So we're working
Let
on
me
it.
know, seriously,
Yeah.
seriously.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before I jump to the pictures, just let me give you a few updates about what the water and sewer department's doing. One of the things that was a hot item when I got here was water meter procurement. We've gone out to bid successfully. We're about with Paula Bertram's help, we're about to generate the bid recommendation letter. We're excited, operations is excited. Wintertime is a really good time for our in-house rollout of installations. Scott Chalmers is excited about doing it in-house. We're gonna give him an opportunity to do it in-house, but we really need to replace these quickly because we don't like zero reads from failing meters. And we want to get past this hurdle, so we're gonna do a parallel path where we prepare to go out to bid for a contractor to do some of the installations. But we're gonna see how it goes for the first 3 months.
How many meters do you have to replace?
5,600,
Oh, boy.
that's a lot of administrative work to
Yeah.
do the scheduling and so forth.
That's all.
And that was done in concert with the light plant, which has just announced that it's completing its rollout. And we had to wait till they had their rollout before we could then go in with our meters. So we were delayed, not, by design, but it actually has worked out. The only challenge is because meters have batteries that fail, this is a new dilemma. They used to just slow down.
Yeah.
Now they just stop reading. So we know we're about to hit a wave and we're trying to get a little bit ahead of it, but
Why
that's
do
the
they all
rest.
have to be replaced if it's? a-
Because they were all, you go through cycles, and I remember when I first got here, 30 years ago, we had to go through a meter replacement program. Well, guess what? We're in the next phase that we started 5 years ago.
Okay.
We are working with engineering. Engineering knocked on our door to accelerate our procurement process for an asset management program. We developed a plan to go through the investigatory phase of what path we want to take with a software provider, and we're gonna try to accelerate that process. We went out to bid for leak detection. We have to have a leak detection survey done by the end of the year. We successfully completed the bid and the recommendation, and the bid's been awarded. And Melissa is anxiously waiting for the PO, which we should get to her any day now. And I guess that's all I have for big updates, and we can take a pictorial tour. We did a Mass Waterworks Association, we joined them to do a video touting the benefits and virtues of the water and sewer profession as a career. That's how challenging it is to obtain people with licenses, and the industry is trying to dot all i's and cross all t's as ways to attract people to our industry. And that was fun to be part of that, but I haven't seen myself on camera yet, so we'll see how that goes.
You gonna be signing autographs?
Yeah. I was gonna put this first and say to start off with a bang. That was the hydrant on Elm Street.
Ouch.
Yep, we had to replace for obvious reasons. We had to clean a few clogged sewer pumps. That's the glamorous part of our job or their job. And I have a lot of respect for them doing that. You can see Ryan, I don't know if you can see his facial expression from where you are.
Yeah.
He's a summer laborer, and if you could see his facial expression, you'd get a chuckle out of him. Next slide. If you wonder
Oh, God.
what can happen from a pinhole leak in the service line,
Jeez.
that's what 90 PSI looks like.
Wow. Is that a water line?
That's the water service line.
Wow.
Yeah. And Johnny doing a repair on another sump pump at a sewer lift station. Last year, when you were reviewing capital budgets, you probably saw that we were gonna start working on the clarifiers. These things run, there's a primary and a secondary, there are two sets of them. And we're actually trying to fix things before they stop working. Those motors have surpassed their expected useful life. They run 24/7, so we're gonna do a primary and a secondary this year. That was approved for fiscal year 26. This is a emptied one. I just thought it was a cool opportunity to show you an emptied clarifier. And this is the finished product, the water leaving an active clarifier.
And this is scaring me because as I move my pointer,
Yeah.
we have an AI. I kept wondering where that was coming from. But it's
Oh,
a picture containing outdoor stone dirty. Where's that coming from? That's a little scary.
That is
Never.
Over here, we have a trickle filter. That isn't happening this fiscal year or next. Next year, we're gonna be working on replacing some piping for the grit removal system. So in fiscal year 28, we're gonna tackle removing the media. This is a 20-foot deep grid that provides surface area for bacteria. Should I let you two?
Let's explain it. You can explain it.
Surface area for bacteria, so the water is 24/7 with no electricity to spin the arm around. To trickle water over this large surface area to provide bacteria a chance to do its remediation of things like phosphate. And that's past its expected surface life, so we're gonna address that. This is a picture of an Acton facility. This is their 1.5 million gallon per day, I believe, PFAS treatment plant over by the Ford dealership. And I put that on there as a preview of things to come, because we're just starting to tackle our PFAS projects for two of our wells, U Cargill and Second Division. And you can see they did something interesting here. They chose to spend less money on the structure so they could put more money into the filtration equipment.
So let's translate that. What does that mean for Concord?
yeah.
Less
Okay.
pretty.
It's not pretty. Second Division is tucked away, remote, while people may, have trails through
There are
there.
a lot of trees, so this
Well,
probably wouldn't be.
So that may be something, Hugh Cargill, if you know where that is, that's next to the Alcott School on Walden. It's just a brick building. We made an addition probably 25 years ago, a field. It's probably gonna be challenged as far as, you can't put that there. So, these are things of, kind of some of the things we need to factor in.
Does it need to be that big?
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah, the size, the scale is driven by the tanks.
Yeah.
And that's also part of where we had a real challenge up, I'm not gonna go there, with NAGOG, when we realized we had designed a facility that fit within a postage size stamp based on permit constraints before PFAS was regulated. And then when we've realized this is coming down the pike, we said, we don't have the real estate, and that sort of spiraled into a whole other, sort of decision-making
So the
process.
plan is to build this kind of.
These sorts of things at Second Division and Hugh Cargill well, and that's part of our capital plan, and we've got borrowing authorization to do it. Not this past spring, but the spring before.
Okay.
50 million.
Yes, that's right.
There are ways that you can get the skin of the building to look more attractive than that without really costing a lot of money. And I
In the
just,
eye of the beholder, yes.
I'm just, cause when I was at the MWRA, we got ripped apart in like the paper and like
Yeah.
everybody screaming, and we're like, actually, it's cheaper to do this than to do like a concrete box.
Yeah,
And I just wanna say that there are ways that you can actually make it look better and not actually necessarily cost more.
we will strive for that.
Okay.
One of the
Yes.
fun parts that I find about this career is this is where science hits the road, and to me, that's fun and fascinating, and it always creates an opportunity with every project to try to do things as good as possible for as good a price as possible. And what's gonna be fun about this project for me is we're gonna get a chance to tour around multiple facilities designed by different engineering companies and see what their thinking was and try to take the best ideas that they had for us.
All right, we're gonna go to,
Just one more quick update. NAGOG was in standby mode all summer. We never needed to use it. With this backing off of the weather over the past few weeks, we've had opportunities to do some service work at two of our wells. U Cargill that's the vacuum well field, that needed a vacuum pump motor replaced. With the weather temperature backing off, we had the opportunity to shut down the well and replace it. And we had to replace a solenoid over at Deaconess. And to me, that just points out that our facilities need to run 24/7 all during the summer to keep up with demand. And it's a huge thanks to our operations staff to make that happen.
Great.
We go to wastewater. I'm gonna go to sort of macro, just to keep this, commission informed of what you may have been hearing about, you know, directly or indirectly. I think the bridge is covering this. This is the redevelopment of MCI. The real issue, you know, for, Public Works at this point is, wanted to share, this is the campus, the MCI campus, and it's inclusive of, there's a property line right here, but the bottom line is the old Junction Village residential affordable housing development was slated for this area. The shaded area under here are the buildings from, the MCI. This color coding is a concept of what might be the most dense redevelopment of that campus. And the yellow is, residential. The gray is more industrial, commercial. The green is more open space. This area here, this is the Assabet River. And you can see this corridor here is sort of protected buffer, you know, to the Assabet. This area, the black sort of structures that are identified, is the actual treatment facility, which you can see here, the wastewater treatment plant. The wastewater treatment plant is a potential, opportunity for the town to not only take, you know, allow for the redevelopment of this campus at a minimum. The goal is to possibly look at its capacity and maybe even expand it to try and accommodate the long-standing wastewater capacity we've had town-wide. Long before MCI was imagined to be, you know, sort of, vacated, we had this wastewater capacity challenge that is really, you know, 25, 30 years in the making. We haven't been able to identify any real, feasible option to expand, but we're working with the state. We will be working with the regulators. We'll be working with DCAM. They are managing the property in the transfer, Department of Capital Asset Management.
Okay.
And they are the real estate entity of the state when it comes to properties, surplus properties. We're also coordinating with DOC, the Department of Correction, who uses that wastewater facility, the farm,
Yeah.
the police barrack.
Yeah.
So it's a very complex, very interesting opportunity, which has a lot of different players. It's kind of, it's not your usual challenge, but it's a real exciting opportunity, but that's also taking a lot of bandwidth for, Public Works. And we'll be reporting back, but I just wanted you to be aware that, yes, this is taking our energy as well, but this is really a significant once in a generational opportunity to do something for redevelopment in Concord, but also on the wastewater capacity constraint. It's a big deal.
Is the possibility to increase the capacity of that site, for wastewater processing?
Yes, that's what we're exploring.
And
Exactly.
which could be used by the town or part of
Correct.
the
It
town.
would all be integrated with the town. Not many towns have two wastewater
Yeah.
treatment facilities. And so there's a lot of layers to this, but, it's kind of nice because we have people in the community. You know, I mean, we're gonna point out, you know, our select board member, you know, Paul Bohm, we can talk to about these concepts, who understand this stuff, and not many people do.
Yeah,
But we have people in Concord who seem to understand the greater, you know, sort of opportunities, and it's not a no-brainer. This is
Yeah.
gonna be a real effort, but it's worth every minute we put into it, so. So I just wanted to give you an update. You'll hear more about that. I think, Darren? We're good?
Any
Yep.
feedback? So we put out the rate increase 2 months ago, whatever, the 12.5%. Any feedback from people on that?
No.
Has it impacted the bills?
Yes,
It's in there.
yes.
And the stormwater billing is gonna start in a couple of months.
That's correct, and we'll give you an update
Yeah.
next month, but we're working through the programming for, working on the bill system with the the NISC is the company who does the billing software. And Paula Bertram is been working, our management analyst has been working closely with them. That's taken a lot of hand-holding.
Mhm.
So with that said, Aaron McCloskey, Highway Ground Superintendent, welcome back.
Thank you all. Good summer for us. A lot of operations. A lot of operational items are completed, work orders completed. Those are detailed in the director's report or Highway and Grounds. But some of the high level items and some of the photos to go along with are going to be presented this evening. I did want to touch on a couple projects that were completed by staff within the division. There's the Doug White Field replacement. So up behind Carlisle Regional High School, there is a synthetic athletic turf field. It's on school department property, but there's a I call it a tri-party contract between this regional school district, the town, and the Friends of Concord Carlisle Fields that detail kind of the operations and use and future maintenance of that part of that parcel. So that's on school department property. It's managed and maintained by the town and funded through that Friends group. So Highway and Grounds Division maintains that daily and for use by school department athletics and other town youth groups. Recently, there was funding that was provided by Friends of Concord Carlisle Fields for a replacement of the turf, and that was started and completed over the summer with minimal impact to school athletic programs such as football, soccer, or field hockey, and others that use that field. So that has been completed or substantially completed and open and safe for use, inspected. There's some punch list items that still need to get completed that don't really impact the use of the field or safety of the field. But that work will finish up after the fall athletic season when the contractor can come back in and finish a couple things. We're looking at installation of some bollards up there to keep vehicle traffic and people from vehicle traffic from entering that area, and also some more concrete work around the edge that needs to get completed. So those are examples of the punch list items that need to be done up there. The 250th tree planting program.
Excuse me, Eric, on that one, just Eric Shaw, who is the Assistant Highway Ground Superintendent, we got him from Lowell, and he understands these fields, and it was kind of nice where we had in-house staff who was able to sort of watch progress, make sure the work was getting done properly, had the expertise, skill. Just part of the, what complements, Public Works. We have some, I literally subject matter experts. And when you're talking about that sort of thing, Public Works was asked to stand in and be sort of that shadow. So, Eric and Aaron, did a great job on that. So.
Thank you all. The 250th tree planting program was an initiative that was brought forward by the 250th Committee Permanent Memorial Subcommittee. That was a project that was funded at town meeting last year. There was a combination of some CPC funding, some town ARPA funding, as well as donations that were provided to the town and accepted by the select board. And that project was contracted and started in the kind of over the winter time, and trees started being planted in the spring. There was a pause over the summer, and trees are going to continue to be planted this fall and possibly into next spring as well. There's a group of residents that have been very closely coordinating the locations and working with direct abutters on placement of these 250 trees that we planted as a permanent memorial in town to reflect on the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War in the start of the war at Patriots Day. To complement the parade and the other events that have taken place during the spring and then continue on in the year. So you'll see more 250 trees being planted. That is going kind of in parallel with our department tree planting program that we do annually. A difference in way to identify the 250 trees for anyone that's interested is if you drive by the tree, you'll see a young tree that's planted. It's got a watering bag, green watering bag at the base of the tree, and it's gonna have a sticker that shows that has that 250th logo on that bag that kind of identifies it as a 250th tree planting.
Now I know. I've been looking at those and I've been like,
Special.
now I know.
The group is also working on, there's some GIS mapping that is was stood up to help us install those trees and coordinate the locations. And I believe that's gonna be made public to folks, after the program's completed, so people can kind of see where the 250 trees are planted townwide. There's a lot expansion project that is on the horizon, discussed, it's been discussed at cemetery committee meetings over the last year. We're in the process of designing a lot expansion up at the Knoll. It's a newer section of Sleepy Hollow Cemetery on Bedford Street. We are included funding request in the FY 27 Concord Public Works budget for $850,000 for a lot expansion up there. The work will include actually physically laying out the lots, and installation of roadways and underground utility such as water and stormwater infrastructure for a much needed expansion of lots at Sleepy Hollow. The cemetery committee at their meeting last week voted a 1-year limit to at-need lot sales only. So that limits if a resident of Concord or a former resident wanted to purchase a lot or multiple grave lots at Sleepy Hollow, if they do not have an at-need, which means a current need for a family member, they would put on a list and have to wait 1 year to purchase that. That's based on kind of our current lot availability. Right now, we're projected to have about 2.5 to 3 years of lot sales available. That's based on historic sales. That information's been presented to kind of the cemetery committee multiple times over the last couple of years, just an update on lots. And staff felt that it was appropriate to kind of inform the group and make a recommendation that to limit lot sales to at-need only while this expansion project is kind of in design and going to be moving forward.
Where does the money go? Where does, if you sell a lot, where does the money go? Here?
So half of the money, so a lot sale takes place, half the money goes into the cemetery fund and the other half goes into a perpetual care fund. So it's essentially a invested fund by the town. There's interest that's accrued, and then that interest can then be transferred to the cemetery fund, and it's used to maintain the cemetery.
And Chris, you're hitting another topic of interest for us. There's been some changes over, the years on what a portion of the cemetery operations is covered through general fund versus perpetual care. We are in a process of trying to get some clarity ourselves so we can understand, how we, what rates and, whether we do a rate study or not, but that's on our list of, we need to go there shortly. But historically, we've been, instructed how it will be funded. But at this point, I think we're at a point where we need to start getting some clarity on that
So how
ourselves.
many lots we get out of your $850,000 budget? Yeah,
It's about 1,700 single grave lots.
how much they go for?
We'll probably do another rate hearing on that and look at adjusting the
We
rate.
have a rate hearing?
The cemetery committee reviews rates, but that's under the cemetery committee.
It's a separate committee,
Correct.
that's not this
Correct.
committee.
That's correct.
But
I
what
share
do you go
that,
for?
I share that information because Public Works oversees the cemeteries.
know,
It
but
varies,
what do they
about
go for?
$1,800, depending on location.
So if you do the math, is the 850 worth it?
It's worth it, it's needed. We need to
I know
have,
you need it,
it's
is
just-
it gonna, financially, is it to our benefit?
I think that's to
That's
Alan's previous comments about looking at rates and looking at how the town
Okay.
funds the budget.
Yeah,
Historically, when I've been with the town for 6.5 years, when I first started, the cemetery budget was funded a 70-30 split between the general fund and the cemetery fund. And over the last few years, that shift has split, that split has shifted to 100% on the cemetery fund.
and what's their reserve balance, do you know?
I do not know off the top of my head. But that is something that, decisions are made on a much higher level, than mine,
Okay.
on the decision of the split and how it's funded. We make the requests and other bodies make the decision on how the things are funded and what is funded.
But you're putting the 850 in your budget,
We put it in the budget request, correct?
right, it's gonna come from here, right?
It'll come from, that's not our decision. That's the decision of finance, the town manager, select board and finance committee of where they decide they take the money
Is
from.
it in our capital plan or is it not? That's what I'm trying.
It's in our capital.
It's in our
fund, yeah.
capital.
So you're putting forward to spend the 850.
Correct.
Yes, however, over the past 5 years, I've seen that evolve, and we don't dictate that. It's the apportionment where we work with the town manager and the finance,
Okay,
CFO.
it's new to me, okay.
Well, we're trying to make sure we participate, but we're not necessarily driving it. but if we need to drive, we'll figure out where to get the keys.
Yeah, I'll give you another example of a capital project that's currently ongoing. It was recently at a town meeting. We're doing stone wall restoration within Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. That project is about $700,000 in total. That was funded from a variety of ways. It was split. There was a request for CPC that they funded 2 years ago. And then at this most recent town meeting, there was a allocation of, I believe it was like $360,000 that was funded, and that was funded through the cemetery fund.
Okay.
Again, we don't determine where the request, how they're funded, we make the request, we can make a recommendation. Other than that, yeah, I'll go to, just high level some of the photos. These are all also cemetery coincidentally. On the left, we have, there's Doug Lennox, we're doing some landscaping, got a widespread landscaping throughout the cemetery. That's a photo of that. There's a post and rail fence throughout, the ninth hole. We're repairing and replacing sections of the fence. And then on the right is the flag burning. So typically in the cemetery on November 11th, it's Veterans Day. We do a flag burning ceremony with the fire department. And veterans will attend, raise the flag. There's a small parade that processes through Sleepy Hollow, and then flags are burned. Last year, during that time, there was a kind of a drought and no outdoor burning permitted at the time. So all the flags that are collected through flag retirement, there's a box down at Town Hall, and then we also accept them here throughout the year, are burned typically annually on that date. Due to that drought and that no burning, it had to be postponed until this past summer, early summer, where it was more appropriate and safe to do the burning, so. We support a lot of initiatives in the park, throughout town, and different town events. Picnic in the Park is one of them. This was part of the town use permit, where it was a private organization, planned a picnic park, kind of concert, gathering event on the 4th of July in Emerson Park. This is a photo of some of those activities. That's an example of a holiday event that we at Public Works support. Ripley Ball Field, I'll call it a premier baseball complex in the area. That is a location, again, kind of a unique situation, school department land, we maintain that space. But we did some cutting and edging and infield work there. Very nice complex for if you haven't been there.
If you haven't been there, you gotta drive by, just take a look at it. It's pretty remarkable. This is by Ripley School, Merriam Road.
Yeah.
It's a complex, and if you were a kid playing baseball, you'd think you'd have to go to college to get something like this. Yeah, it's really remarkable, and it's our crews that sort of maintain it, and it's just a phenomenal.
And Ripley School.
Ripley,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah, all right, cool.
Continue right of way maintenance, so we don't just patch potholes. But we have some equipment, so some capital equipment I purchased a couple years ago. I talked about it before. It's a skid steer with a mounted milling attachment, so we're able to mill large areas and swaths of pavement, bring it down, and then pave and repair. Some of the similar type of work, these are areas that would have been milled down on the left in the center photo. Final paving here on the left-hand side. And sidewalk repair and restoration over there on the far right.
Yeah, it says it's a car parked on the side of the road.
Hallucination.
So we respond to emergency situations. A large tree fell down on Bedford Street. This is an example of a multi department response where a large tree fell down, entangled in wires. We respond, CMLP responds, and we coordinate effort on removing that tree, getting off the wires, and making the road safe and open for travel again. So we do forestry maintenance, planned and unplanned throughout the year. Photo on the right-hand side, this is the umbrella parking lot off of Stowe Street in Sudbury. This parking lot was redesigned a few years back. This was a signpost that was located right between two parking spots. Been run over multiple times since it's redesigned, and we installed a bollard here and placed the sign in a bollard. So hopefully that does not get struck.
Where's the bollard? I'm sorry.
The bollard, it's kind of a sleeve
gray.
here,
Oh,
so it's like a
Okay, the sign.
steel pipe,
Wow.
built concrete,
All right.
with the signpost in that. Because that sign's been, people think they're in reverse, they're in drive, and they strike the sign.
Crazy in there.
Yeah, it gets speaks to the bollard as a deterrent. Generally, in a parking area, you shouldn't be going that fast. So when you hit it, you'll stop. protect the sign. But cars can blow right through bollards. That's part of the challenge. It's not a structural deterrent.
Okay,
So, and I would say, just to, this is the final slide, you know, with, Aaron Crew, with Darren and his team, a lot of our operations are 24/7, and we kind of forget about that. It's, our wastewater is running. When the microbursts hit, whether it's the weekend, night, whenever, you're gonna get a call. Yeah, so we're a first responder in many, many ways, and it's just sort of again, I'm proud of the breadth and depth of our operations, but, you know, we do have lots of operators who are ready to roll, you know, whenever, you know, needed, so, and you never know when they're.
Right.
So I think, Aaron, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Aaron.
Oh, is that it? That was a big.
Look at that, 6 o'clock.
All right.
She runs a
Thank you.
tight
She
ship.
does, right on the nose.
She. Iron.
Any follow-up questions? Anyone from the public? Anyone online?
I don't see any. Yeah.
Okay. But, okay, do I have a motion? to adjourn?
I, Gretchen Rock, hereby make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, unanimously. adjourned.